we have,
Mr. Chair.
oh, sorry.
No worries. Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair as well. It is up to you, but Mr. Woody from Bay Lakes, if you want to have him go first, so that way you can get out, we can do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that after we'll approve the agenda meeting minutes and then public comment.
No worries, Mr. Chair. However you'd like to proceed.
All right, and I have to say, I think I do look better on this screen than on the other one. We have roll call. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Supervisor Wagner, Supervisor Augustine, second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Supervisor Haskey. Second by Supervisor Poppy. Any corrections, discussion on the minutes? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have any public comment?
No, no, Mr. Chair. I believe everyone else is here. Ms. Schleiss, for those that may not know, Julie Schleiss is our registrant. So she's doing one of the items that's on the agenda.
Excellent, good to have you with. So no public comment, no one wishes to speak. Administrators report, we can wait on that until after we have the housing report.
If you would like, Mr. Chair.
We're okay with moving the housing report so that this gentleman can get on his way. I don't know, how far do you have to go before you get home?
Oh, Green Bay, sir. Thank you.
Well, that's not too bad.
Thank you for your attention today. My name is Jeff Woody. I'm from
Jeff,
Bay
did you
Lakes.
hand out everything that needed to be handed out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from the Bay Lakes Regional Planning Agency. I started working there after working 30 years in the United Nations. And most of my work's been in housing. So it's been a privilege to look at housing in Kewaunee County. I've been absorbed in it for the last 4 months. I know that there's a lot of things you probably already know. I hope today is that as I go through these, there's some things that you may not know, and that will help you make future decisions. So with that, I'm going to get started. So we all know why we're here, right? We commissioned a study to look at housing in Kewaunee County. I'd like to start off with saying that we did gather lots of community input. These are some of the comments that I got from the survey that we set out. We had close to 200 responses on that. And so we've heard everything from, there's a lot of dilapidated housing, too strict on zoning, a need for nicer senior units. And I think we need some higher end level income rental options such as duplexes and apartments. I know there are some negative comments, but there are positive comments too. So the goal of the study was to describe the current housing and demographic conditions in Kewaunee County, identify new or existing programs that can address existing housing issues, and develop strategies and next steps for improving the housing environment in Kewaunee County. So Bay Lake staff, we reviewed national trends, we conducted a community-wide survey, we compiled and analyzed demographic data, reviewed economic characteristics and trends, inventoried and evaluated characteristics of current housing. We conducted a housing development analysis with recommendations for future policy making. We interviewed local realtors and we developed an interactive story map. Of course, you know, the benefit of a housing study, it can be beneficial to local units or governments by narrowing issues and solutions that can be used to make strategic decisions related to the housing market. Studies are often used as a basis for future development, policy decisions, and to secure financing for various housing programs and projects. forward to that. As part of the study, the Phoenix Regional Planning Commission used the comprehensive housing market analysis by HUD, which includes O'Connell, Brown, and Kewaunee County. When HUD looked at housing, they kind of lumped these three counties into one, because a lot of people commute back and forth. And we found that's the case here, is that there's a lot of people that live in Kewaunee County that like the rural environment, but commute to other places to work. According to the HUD analysis, in those three counties, there's a 1.1% vacancy rate for apartments. They can't build them fast enough. And there's currently a demand for over 2,000 new homes. So the key findings in the study in Kewaunee County: 2/3 of all owner-occupied housing in the county are 50 years or older. There's an aging population, and I'll expand on these as I go through the presentation. There's an aging population, and there's a huge need for senior housing. As I said before, there's a large need for rental housing. People are going elsewhere to rent housing. No cohesive housing policies across all municipal levels and local units of government. Workforce is shrinking, which leads to the inability to attract new business. There's a large home building improvement and fabrication infrastructure in Kewaunee County that should be taken advantage of. There are many uninhabited properties because of the age and conditions of the home. Newly constructed housing is not affordable for residents making the median income. And that's welcome to the club, because I remember 30 years ago when I was a young planning student, a professor told me that when you get older, you're not going to be able to afford a new home. And that is getting to the case all over the place, not just here in Kewaunee. What we did, we put together an interactive story map that can be used across all programs. There's something that's up to date with current demographic information. When you do another study or you look at housing, you don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel again. The information is here. It's all interactive online. So the interactive study has the executive summary, what I just went through. From the national trends that we talked about, I'm just going to touch on these things real quickly. Americans age 65 and older will grow by an astonishing 11.1 million over the next decade. The other national trend is that families with children from the age of 35 to 44 is going to be a huge part of the population. And there's a huge need for housing, and many of them are first-time home buyers. But a lot of them are living in rentals because there's not enough supply of housing and the affordability rate. We also, in the interactive map, we looked at the demographics. Right now, Kewaunee County at 21,940 people. The population is going to peak in the year 2030. And that after 2030, the population is going to decline based on the current trend. The median income. What we did here is in the demographics, so that each community has their own demographic site, so they can go there and look at their population, and we'll take the town of Casco. We can actually zoom in and it'll give you information, current population, and current population projections, and then also number of households. So the median income in Kewaunee County is $63,118. Now keep this number in mind because it's really important as we move through this. The state of Wisconsin, the median income is $56,369. And currently, 7.3% live under the poverty level. And that's just like any other community. We looked at housing inventory.
Jeff,
Yes.
are you still on the online story map slide?
Yeah. Oh, it's not showing.
It's not showing up there. So I'm gonna guess this is not necessarily a smart screen, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just go through these real quick in that way. There's a lot of information on the interactive site. So the housing inventory, rental, there's 18.1% of the housing is rental. If you look at a community should have about 20% rental units in their community. So you're right on track there. Senior housing, 75 plus. What senior housing developers do, they take the population that's 75 years and older, and they determine the need from that. And what right now, Kewaunee County is well below the ratio that they look at for development. So that does show that there's a huge need for senior housing. And that's what relates with the aging population that's currently here now. In the housing inventory online, we have for each community has their own site, and it has their population. They can separate out the residential areas, service areas, and then the manufacturing areas. The reason why we put that on there is because of the huge opportunity to take advantage of the manufacturing base that you have there. So the development analysis that we did, we mapped out all the home improvement and building areas. And that's how we determined that there was a large infrastructure for that. We also looked at the inventory of the housing and why this is important. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm preaching to the choir here, but housing development in 2020 matters. It improves the employment. The lack of housing in rural communities can have an effect on the hiring prospects. It improves quality of life. It builds connections. And it builds the local economy. Like I said, we found a community, 53% work in Kewaunee County, 34% of people that community work in Brown County, 7% work in Door County, and then another 2% go to Manitowoc County. I'm sorry you can't see this. The aging population, so conclusions, the aging population in Kewaunee County.
Jeff,
Yes.
would it be possible, do you have your PowerPoint presentation on your laptop?
Yes, I do.
I mean, the study itself, sorry.
Yes.
Let's go that way,
Okay.
because otherwise all we're going to have is that slide right there. And while your voice is soothing, I'm going to guess that for most folks, we're going to be lost without the visuals. There we go.
Right here from the development analysis. This is a map that Yeah, here's the housing study, but it's not. I mean, if we went online, right, directly online, you could. You can do it from there, your computer, I think. You can do it from there.
I think we're gonna try this on fly.
Do you have the link to it?
No, but. I guess it's up on your website. So if I'm up on the website, now where?
Yeah, it's that, if you can copy that up there.
Oh, hold on then. Why don't you just do this? Give me say it to me.
Okay. So it's story maps.
One word.
Dot arcgis.com.
Yep.
Backslash
Yep.
stories.
Stories plural.
Yes.
Okay.
Backslash.
Yep.
3 as in 3.
Yep.
D as in dog. E as in dog. 4. C as in cat. 25. A as in apple. C as in cat. 493 444 095 17.
Is that it?
D as in dog. D as in dog.
Yep.
A as in apple. F F F. C as in cat. Then 0. D as in dog.
Yep.
88. E as in head. And then 3.
This down here because it won't. I can't get rid of it. Otherwise, then it won't be live. So.
All right, so if you scroll to the demographics.
Okay.
So the key points in the demographic section again were what the population, and then we reach its peak in 2030, it's steadily declined. Median income. Scroll down. The interactive map for each community. You can click on a community, and it'll give you a population, projected population for 2040. Separated out each community. So say Village of Luxembourg has 2,612 residents. By the year 2040, they'll projected to lose 97. And keep going down. So here's the household income number. That's 6318. That's for Kewaunee County. Taking this number in account, the state of Wisconsin, the median income is 56,000, and that's nationally. And so the income here is a little higher than the state and nationally. And then with the 7.8% poverty rate, which is normal for a community size. If you go to the top there and go to housing inventory section. So we went through each community, inventoried their housing and separated out the rental and home ownership. And there's an interactive map. You can go to home ownership up on the front tab. There's home ownership here. And then rental units. Median price for a rental unit, which is on par with the state. And 18.1% of the rental properties here in Kewaunee County, median community size that could have about 20%. And then senior housing, this is where we did a more in-depth analysis. You look at people that are 75 years or older, and it shows that there's a huge need for senior housing. The ratio is about 7.3. There's currently, I think, just a little over 350 senior units. When we look at Kewaunee County has 5 times that amount. I'm sorry, Manitowoc County.
Why are you comparing it to Green Lake?
We look at other comparable communities because Kewaunee County is not it's considered a non-distressed area. And so we look at non-distressed areas as a or a share.
And when you put Green Lake in there, Green Lake is surrounded on 4 sides of the county. Because Kewaunee County, basically, if you look at the design of Kewaunee County is only and also it's got one side that's Lake Michigan. So we can't draw anything. I think that compared to the Green Lake is wrong county.
Sure. And then that's why we went to Manitowoc and compared to Manitowoc, which has similar circumstances. But they have 2 distressed communities, 2 rivers, 2 areas that are distressed, 2 rivers and Manitowoc. And so that's not the case here.
Question?
You don't feel that Algoma and Kewaunee.
John, your mic.
You don't feel that Kewaunee or Algoma or Luxembourg are distressed areas?
Based on
Luxembourg? The village?
Well, that's what I'm asking. It's just listen and see what he says. Luxembourg is a bedroom.
Prices aren't high enough.
Yeah. Kewaunee, the city of Kewaunee and the city of Algoma do have low and moderate, had a high percentage of low income individuals compared to the rest. Because they're congregated in those communities. Doesn't mean overall that it's distressed. But they would qualify for some HUD funding to help meet the low and medium income families that live in those communities.
What criteria did you use to develop the deed for senior housing for 75 and over? How did you get that information?
So that information is used by, this is developers, and they're looking for communities to use senior housing. They look at the population that are 75 years and older, and what is the saturation rate? And so as far, they pointed to how many units that are there already. And so because there's only 350 units that are dedicated for senior housing, and they look at the number of people that are 75 years and older, there's a need that ratio is low. And so there's a need for more senior housing. The developers gonna look at that when they do their analysis of what is becoming community build senior housing. So we go to the development analysis. just scroll down a little bit? Scroll down a little bit more. Go to the Forest community on the Forest and people are driving outside Kewaunee to work. For the development analysis, we looked at the median income. When the banks look at a ratio of 2.5 times your income when they give out a loan, if your median income is $63,000 a year, it means you can basically look at you can afford about $157,000 house. Well, right now the average price for a new house in the state of Wisconsin is about $230,000. And so when you look at so when I was at Oneida, we worked with Bay Bank. Bay Bank wanted to look at improving, or they wanted to give out more loans, so they want to get people qualified for housing. And so we did a prototype house that actually cost around $150,000 to make. I studied housing for 30 years. The way we build housing is going to change. It's more components. Right now, there's major companies that are investing in housing and they're all built in factories. And so you use the example, if you had to build your car from scratch, as they do housing now, where they one house at a time, your car would be really expensive. And so that's the way our housing is built now. And you're getting to the point where it's just getting out of reach for a lot of people.
Is that why this seems like a good time to ask the question I had listed here. Since 2012, you listed that the average home price has gone up by 47%.
Yes.
I mean, that seems a little higher. I'm not, inflation, I didn't think was 47% during that period. I mean, is that part of what is causing that? That seems hard to comprehend.
I think a big part of it is the cost of materials, construction. I mean, concrete is more expensive. Well, wood's more expensive. It just costs more for material.
Why? I mean, I don't know a lot about the construction business. Is there a reason that's causing those material prices to go up that substantially? Are trees harder to grow now or what?
No, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that.
I mean, just in the last, I don't know that if it's fair to really compare, since last March, the COVID situation and what that's done. But I do know that has increased the price of building materials as well as the availability of certain materials. When I talk with guys from Van's Lumber, it's just ridiculous. Mike Newbert, head construction guy on the Luxembourg school, he said getting windows is almost impossible right now. Getting doors, stuff like that. I mean,
but he has listed since 2012. So anyway.
Yeah, and that was from a national study that took that point.
So it was before COVID. I mean, pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's been a trend for a while now.
Well, I should start going trees. Demand.
So we can go right to the conclusions. You may not agree with everything that I came up with, and that's okay. These are just things that we're finding through our analysis. So in conclusion, to go back to the first part where we had the key findings, there's an aging population. There's no available rental units. There's minimal land and infrastructure set aside for new housing. I know a lot of communities, it's getting really expensive for investors to get in, put in all the sewer and water. usually a group of doctors get together, invest their money, and they build subdivisions. Well, it's getting really expensive to do that, so you're finding less and less of that. Now you're finding governments actually getting involved in the land and the infrastructure side of things. And there's numerous examples around this stuff that's occurring, so that they can attract that housing development.
Jeff, question for you. Do you find, and I'm on the City of Kewaunee Plan Commission, and the city is redoing their subdivision ordinance right now. And I absolutely think that we're getting buried in regulations and in some cases fees. Now, don't get me wrong, some fees are because the tax structure no longer supports many of the things that used to be supported in subdivisions and infrastructure. And I think that some of those fees are getting to just eat the living heck out of it. You know, I mean, at one of our recent meetings, the city administrator was talking, and he said that, you know, we need to have affordable lots. And I asked him the question, I said, define affordable. Well, he says, anything under $20,000. And I says, impossible. You cannot find a $20,000 lot anymore. After you purchase the land and you do the infrastructure and the developer gets a decent return on his money, I said to him, I says, a reasonably priced lot instead of $20,000 is closer to $50,000. And you know, that is one of the things that drives the cost of a home. It costs money to put infrastructure in the ground. It costs money to put in streets and curb and gutter and what have you. And you know, Dan is saying, well, you know, I mean, I know where you're coming from, Dan. I mean, I built my house at 25 years ago, you know, for $238,000, 25 years ago. I can't touch that house, I don't believe right now, for $500,000. So, I mean, you know, so I know where you're coming from, that yes, there's been an awful increase in the cost of a home, and what can you afford? I mean, of course, we weren't all born with a silver spoon like Chuck was, but
You're living in the $500,000 garbage palace there. I don't know.
yeah, well, I always saved I got my first communion money yet, so.
Yeah, John still got the first nickel he ever pinched.
So,
Well, what we did in Oneida, we did close to 800 housing sites with infrastructure. And for every linear foot that you go for road somewhere and stuff like that, it's almost $300 a foot. And providing water and sewer, you actually, because with a sovereign nation, right, you can do recirculating sand filters, right? There are community-wide systems that have a cluster of homes, and then they go to a larger recirculating sand filter. So you don't have to run pipe all the way. You still have to preserve the rural character. You still have reduced costs. You do things like we did things when we did sites. We made sure we didn't have to put storm sewer. We put the housing on the higher, right? So all the water would go down to the road. Real simple concept, right? But those are the types of things that we looked at. We didn't build in really bad soil. It just there are a lot of things that help reduce the cost, but yeah, you're exactly right. Those costs are getting higher and higher.
I've got a question, I guess. Have you worked or had any experience working with, or how does a community, how does a local government, a local unit of government, let's talk Kewaunee County. Kewaunee County has traditionally tried to stay out of the real estate market. We try to do everything we can for back tax people and make sure they can keep their taxes current. And we do a lot of things so that we don't take control over parcels of property. So how does a community, how does a local unit of government, a county, what sort of plans or programs or what's available to them to try to basically get into the real estate market? I mean, what does Kewaunee County do when it comes to approaching the cities, the two cities, the villages, and say, how do we make them say, hey, plan some areas out here for where you want housing to go versus where you want, different sizes of commercial buildings, whether it's light commercial or heavy duty commercial, factory plants or something. That's, with Kewaunee County having local zoning, it's really, how's that all going to work?
Yeah, I think the communities are, first off, they're gonna have to say we want the housing, right? The housing development gets done two ways now. One, it's low and moderate income using low income tax credits, right? And those usually go to the communities that are distressed or have distressed areas. Two Rivers, Manitowoc building a ton of housing right now using low income tax credits. That you can't use here because you don't meet the criteria. And then on the flip side is the market, right? The higher end market, right? Where you have beautiful landscape here, you're on the water, right? There's an incentive for developers to come and build high-end housing, but where's the middle ground, right? Developers gonna have to go and buy the land, try to put the infrastructure themselves and try to do that. And so those are a lot of hurdles to get over. Right, they can go to other communities and have less hurdles. But if the communities, the local communities, I understand that all the local municipalities here have different perspective on things. You're gonna basically make a statement. We want the housing, right, and we're gonna help accommodate that. And maybe it's helping put in infrastructure. We talked about the rules and regulations, right? It's not like you're building in downtown, Chicago, right? You imagine the rules and regulations there. I think those aren't really big hurdles. The hurdle is getting the land, putting the infrastructure.
Supervisor Wagner, I know that the Village of Howard has taken an aggressive approach in trying to increase development within their village. And what they had done is they were buying parcels and installing the road and infrastructure and then selling those lots back to the building developers and doing it that way. A lot of times, because if the village themselves did not do that work, then the developers were leery about trying to move forward. And if the committee would like, I could try to invite someone from the Village of Howard to come and speak about what they've done.
We have development, we have plenty of development over in the Village of Luxembourg.
Correct.
And they just approved that whole new development there. Although there was plenty of opposition to that, changing the zoning regulations there, a lot. But back in my neighborhood, our only problem is that there's, the lots, there's no lots. I mean, they're selling lots 30, 40 grand, and they just started another house this week. So, but I live back in the high rent, low income district.
Didn't the Village of Luxembourg had to annex that property from the town, as I recall, that they're doing right now?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the only way that
Right.
that you're going to expand is some of these municipalities.
But the Village of Luxembourg doesn't seem to have any difficulty getting development, getting people to build houses there. It's, location, location, location.
Yeah.
Closest to Green Bay.
Right.
I mean, the jobs.
And a very high quality of life.
And I think they just did a sewer service.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, got a new road going through back there by me. So,
Jeff, did you want to continue on with your conclusions?
Yeah, sure. We just talked about building policies and regulations. Starter home, we find that there's a huge need for a starter home. You hear people talk about these tiny homes. Well, I'm not here to promote tiny homes, right? But from the size of 750 and 1,200 square feet,
Just for one
thing,
that would take I do know in my municipality, in the town of Red River, town ordinance says nothing can be, you cannot have a family residence in the town less than, I believe it's less than 900. So I mean, they have to change some of those. Right. I don't know if you have any in Tennessee.
Yeah, the prototype house that we did was around 1,000 square feet. But what we did is we used the trusses were actually board frames. So, and then the basement, we had lots of the basement. Putting the egress window, now you have basically a 5-bedroom house. The bedrooms upstairs and down, they utilize now. Conclusion, that aging housing stuff, right? When you're elderly, you like to live in your own house as long as possible. And you know that, built to have handicap accessibility, you gotta have at least minimum 3-foot doors. A lot of these units don't have 3-foot doors. All the things that come into play when aging in place. And it's very difficult to replicate those homes. So we have a series of action steps. So what are the next steps? What can we do? What are some action steps? Improve the housing quality, expand and develop new housing, rehabilitation and repair programs. There's one right here from being administered by Kewaunee County. It's a loan program, and yeah, I know people that are struggling usually think of loan, but they have all these programs that try to help people. So this is a low interest loan that this is a no interest loan that they give to residents to improve their housing, and then they don't have to pay it back until they actually sell the house. And also Associated Bank just started a program for low interest loans for home improvement. So there's money available, but a lot of times when people are struggling, it's difficult for them to think about home improvement. Build new infrastructure to increase accessibility to new housing. Increase the use of mixed income development. Build new infrastructure for new housing. Explore different sources of rental financing, loan guarantee programs, and funding sources for rural development. I know these, most people like to have their lots, in a rural area. That's with a lot of space around them. But in order to use infrastructure efficiently, you have to build smaller lots for some of these areas. With houses that are closer together, so that for every linear foot of infrastructure, you can have it efficient as possible. Support the growing senior population. Seniors like to live in their home as long as possible. Support new affordable senior rental communities. Townhouses townhouse row house are an efficient way to build housing. They're usually fourplexes, so that you don't have to. So that it works with the fire code, but
From a local economy standpoint, having a hospital is a good anchor for any local economy.
Next action item is increase home ownership opportunities, support new housing, a new home development that is high quality and modest size, build that new infrastructure to support it, improve access to mortgage. Some people need their credit repaired. NeighborWorks in Green Bay, they offer counseling classes, they help with low down payment assistance for some members who want to get into housing.
I'm thinking some of these things also change quite a bit through the different generations. Okay, there are certain back when I was on the Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission a long time ago, we talked about, and there was a lot of discussion at times about what are the priorities of certain generations. And of course, they were talking about after the boomers, the Gen Xers and the whatever, millennials and those, and that they have a lesser, a lot of them don't drive, don't even have a car, don't need a car. They don't go anywhere. They want to live right close to where they work, and they can walk or they can take a bike. And then they'll rent a car, or some things that you'd have to bring into your area to attract those people to change your age structure in your communities. I mean, some of those things sound, and then I'm thinking that what the current COVID thing has done is re-educated different companies as far as how they do business. Business is done from home. Now we're working in that area with the broadband thing, expansion and stuff, but that'll help. Lots of things to think about.
Support diverse housing and vulnerable populations, encourage the development of new housing. And again, the low income tax credit program is highly competitive, and they go to places where there's a much larger population and more distressed areas. Increase focus on mixed income developments, including building livable small homes under solid school. Now here's a big one, right? Provide attractive financial incentives to developers, right? How do you attract them? Come and say, hey, we want housing in our community, we want market rate housing in our community. We can help with the land and infrastructure costs. Usually community development block grants can help communities do that, which every community here will qualify for. The next action item would be to support the industries that are here now. I think, like I said, the way we build housing is going to change dramatically. Years ago, 20 and 40 years from now, all housing being done in factories. And I think there's a huge talent pool and infrastructure of housing developers, builders, contractors, and fabricators. And that you should mirror that with your economic development strategy. I'm saying if I was king for a day, right, I would mirror that with the economic development.
Just talking to one of the guys from Van's Lumber, and they said that a stick built right now, a 1,400 square foot stick built It's going to be 225 square foot.
Yeah, so in the last 2 years, it's grown dramatically.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeff, when you get back, if you can send a copy of that PowerPoint, which then I can send electronically to all the members, that would be great. Thanks.
Administrators report.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have the personnel report for February 1 in your packet. The investigator, the interviews have already completed. The Sheriff's Department has selected a candidate. We're still looking at a start date. Part of the reason why is there's some staffing issues that need to happen before we would have that person from that's on patrol to then transition into the investigator position. The parks caretaker position, the interviews have been completed. We are doing reference checks before we make an offer to our top candidate. I just reviewed 2 candidates for radio operator jailer, and we look that should be starting, both of those positions should be starting in the next 2-3 weeks. We continue to pause the social worker that's in the child and family unit. We are always looking for winter park assistants because we usually get college kids, but now that college has started back, we're always looking for people that are over 18 to help out at winter park. There's some other items that are on here that are not on here. A couple of them are here on the agenda. One is the deputy register and probate, which we will be deciding upon tonight. There is highway workers that we believe there will be a couple retirements in 2021, so we'd like to do an eligibility list. If you do fill the deputy register and probate, there would then be an opening in, we would like to fill that with the current register and probate secretary, move her from part-time to full-time. So that would then leave an empty slot for a part-time slot for the secretary position. We have received one resignation of a social worker case manager in the child protective unit. That person will be leaving in the end of February. So I would like to start that recruitment as soon as possible. That is not on this agenda, but if I can get, and I don't need it right now, but if I can get a general direction from the committee that I can start to make that recruitment, that would be great.
Yes.
Okay, easy enough. And
I guess the first thing I would say is, has the position, has anything in the position changed enough to change the job description or any review?
no, in the
Okay.
child protective unit, no. And then last but not least, and I'd have to go back, I'm not sure, but the human services director, now that was back in February, March of last year, and I have been filling in interim at that time. I would like to start to recruit for that position in 2021, so it doesn't have to be done at this meeting, but eventually I would like the committee to approve the recruitment of a human services director. As for any other items, the other item that I have is there has been a request by the patrol lieutenant for a change in compensation. That's not here. That was not on this agenda, but would be something that the committee would need to review and possibly take action next month.
What would be the,
There is a request from the patrol lieutenant and from the sheriff's department that the number of after hours calls, that there be additional compensation for that.
has there been a change of some nature?
No.
Okay.
So, well, again, I'm just making the committee aware, and then you can decide what action, if any, should be taken. I'm just giving everyone a heads up. And then those are the only ones that I have at this present time, Mr. Chair. I know that the pay plan subcommittee will be wanting to meet sometime soon, and when
Yes.
that action wants to be taken, please let me know and I can start scheduling whatever meetings and collecting whatever information the subcommittee so chooses.
Right. Sounds like they need to, because apparently every month we have somebody that's coming, and this pay plan that's supposed to be so perfect has apparently a need for exceptions all of the time. The human services social worker, do you need anything formal from us here tonight?
As long as I'm getting some general direction from the committee right now, we can do that. I will.
Does anybody, for him to start working on filling that position, everybody's okay with that? Any objections?
No, well, it's not on the
It's not-
agenda,
Not on the
Supervisor
agenda.
Poppy.
He's just going to start moving forward, and we can make it more official
In
next
March,
month. And
correct.
okay, anything further?
Not unless there are questions, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for Mr. Felt?
Your mic, Supervisor Kroll?
Mhm.
No worries.
So I just had one question. What did it mean by the patrol officer after hours?
The patrol lieutenant.
Okay.
I can,
What are after hours? So is he working when he's not?
the patrol lieutenant is a supervisory or management position. They typically work from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. The request is that there be extra regular pay for time that is spent that is considered after hours. There had been
His salary, correct?
correct.
It's-
Mike,
Mike, Mr. Romden, please.
I said, if you're on salary, that stuff like that comes with the territory.
Again, I'm just making the committee aware.
And if it does come forward, please bring forward with you the current salary information,
Yes, sir.
not
Don't you
just
get
what we're
extra,
asking
Dan?
for in addition.
Now, is this a case where the guy took the job and then after the fact, he's asking for more money?
That would seem to be the case, Supervisor
Forget it.
Romden.
You get
Yes.
more, you get more to go after hours, don't you?
No, that comes with the
I don't either.
territory. Believe me, whenever that phone rings and, if there's one thing that'll get me up in the night, I can sleep through kids screaming or anything else, but a phone ringing, that's like a gunshot.
I will tell you, and again, I'm not doing it to promote or otherwise, just from an informational standpoint. There are counties that do provide additional compensation for lieutenants that have after hours type of stuff. So, but that can all come to you in a packet of information when you decide.
Again, though, this is what we, Supervisor Romden brought up. This was part of the position. The position was accepted and now we're reviewing. Okay. I can see it's going to get a warm reception by this
In-
committee.
in my salaried occupations, it was known as dilution pay.
Solution. I love it. Okay, well, we'll look forward to this discussion next month. Oh, sorry. Let's get a little decorum here. Now, sounds like it made you sorry, or your employer, whatever. Okay, approval, fill vacancy and register in probate. Deputy register in probate. You're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I had said, with the unfortunate passing of Candy Brown, who was our deputy register and probate, that has left a vacancy in that office. Currently, I have authorized the register and probate secretary to take those extra hours at this time until the position can be filled. It would be my intent, since the secretary does understand the duties within that position, that if we get the approval to fill the vacancy, that I would just appoint or approve Bonnie Joski to become the new register in probate deputy. And then we would then move to whether the register and probate secretary position would be filled.
Are there questions? Does that seem clear? Everybody knows. What do you need from us here tonight?
I
would
need a
move-
motion to fill the vacancy.
I would move to
Supervisor
fill that
Wagner,
vacancy.
second by Supervisor Romden. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
If you want me, I can just keep going, Mr. Chair, if you'd like.
That'd be fabulous.
Fantastic. Approval of the highway worker eligibility list. I have been informed by Highway Commissioner Every that he believes that there will be 2 pending retirements within 2021, and to therefore help to move that recruitment process along, he would like to create an eligibility list, so that way when those vacancies do occur, that we already have pre-screened candidates, which then could be selected, given final interviews, and if approved, then allowed to be filled when the vacancies occur. So I'm recommending a approval for the creation of a highway worker eligibility list.
Motion by Supervisor Poppy, second by Augustine. Discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the executive committee and basically the de facto personnel committee, any changes to highway worker or any job descriptions must be approved by the committee. The changes that have been made to the highway worker are essentially, I guess I want to say minuscule. They are not major changes, but they are changes nonetheless, and therefore I would need an approval for the new job description for the highway worker.
Yeah, I see they took leaning on a shovel out of that.
Well, I would say that most of your, and I thought I'd say this before Supervisor Poppy jumped over there.
I
Is
guess I
that
gotta be more careful.
highway
before I make
workers
those
are
comments.
long, dedicated employees. If you don't believe that, remember who just plowed your roads this weekend.
Hold on there now. Our
Your
roads,
county roads this
our
weekend.
county roads specify they didn't get plowed in the village.
So,
They didn't get plowed. Village didn't get plowed.
You guys were gonna shovel in that road area.
Well, I got my shovel out and I got halfway down my block and, that's all I. Is there a motion here? Mastelier, somebody second that. Anybody? Supervisor Wagner, any further discussion or have we had enough on that? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I know that we just did 10 and I'm, again, just for information's sake for the committee, if the committee would like additional information only because of what I would call the technical snafus of the presentation tonight, I will send that information. But if there's additional information that the committee would like or would like to hear from Bay Lakes again, or the Village of Howard or someone else, please feel free to let me know and I can put that on the agenda.
Yes, Supervisor Wagner.
Yeah, I guess my question in here is with getting this, and I would appreciate, a lot more information. But I guess my question is, what would be our next steps?
We just got this here tonight and just got the presentation,
Yeah.
so I certainly don't have that answer.
No, but I guess I'm thinking maybe at least have the item on the agenda for next month, and
could
hopefully
certainly-
we could have some just discussion. We don't have to decide
We can-
anything, but more discussion on this study and what it means
We
to
can,
each of the supervisors.
Yeah.
I mean, did everybody on the board get a copy of this?
I had it.
I believe I had sent the housing study document, the quote unquote final one, to all county board members, but with the new one, I can send that again to the entire board as well.
Sure. And I think we should have some, making mention of it to the other supervisors that are not on this
Well,
committee
we could certainly put it down for discussion here next month, but I wonder, and that was my question as I was listening to him, are we going to have some sort of a presentation at some point to the full board?
We can. The reason why I had it first to this committee is because from a committee standpoint, I thought we start here
Right.
before we do that, as well as if there was a discussion of next steps, I would think that should be vetted first by this committee before brought to the full board.
Should we also be talking maybe to the cities and villages? As a committee?
I think these are questions that we probably need to figure out our next steps. As I say, we just had the presentation here tonight and I really don't, I don't know. I think we should probably discuss it next month and, maybe bring some of these ideas up then.
That was my intent, Mr. Chair, only in the respect that, yes, there's a variety of different steps that this committee and the county board may want to consider. I specifically did not have specific steps that I was recommending or pushing. I thought this is a good
Right.
introduction for what we may want to do in the future.
For the right price, you can put a tiny house in my backyard.
If the zoning will allow it.
Scott, is there any way that we can get hard copies of this without having to go on our own printer and print out 50 pages and use 2 ink cartridges to get it?
I think since you just asked that, Supervisor Rompton, I think the county can print a
Or if-
copy of it for whomever
Or
would
if Bay
choose.
Lakes would provide 20 hard copies for the county board.
So,
But we did learn that trees are in short supply and expensive tonight.
so yes, we can get hard copies for you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll have this on for discussion next month. So please bring your questions, and I don't know what the answers are. We'll have to sort that one out. Chairman's report, the only thing, do we have the pay plan subcommittee? They haven't been able to meet yet, but you're working on that?
No, I'm working on them. I was going to talk to you about that sometime this week. It's trying to get 5 people that are available at a certain time together. And I'm finding that somewhat difficult.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can make that happen soon.
I was hoping to do it, if we could possibly do an initial meeting, like on an evening like this at 6 o'clock. And then once all 5 people are together, we could come up with a,
Well, we're meeting, we do have a full board on Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
that's right.
So possibly you could either have them get together before or after. Finance doesn't, I don't believe will have to meet before unless they're meeting this Friday.
We're meeting
is,
Friday.
We're meeting Friday.
Weather permitting.
Whether,
Right. And Supervisor Rompton, if you would like,
Have you looked at the forecast?
I could also help expedite it by sending emails to everyone and trying to get an idea of days and times that are good for folks, if you would like that help as well.
So you could have them meet on Tuesday prior to the full board meeting, since finance is not.
it's one of the issues is Jeff Vollenweider's schedule. It's you and I and Gary are pretty flexible, except you're not that flexible.
Yeah, I try to be. But so, I mean, Tuesday, week from tomorrow, maybe that'd be a possibility. I think it would be better to try it before because I expect that meeting to be very long. But I got all night that day. All right. What's that? All night that day. Tuesday, I got all night.
I would personally prefer to do it on a night or a day when there's not any other meetings that we're involved in.
Supervisor Rompton, would you like me to survey the different members and see if there's dates and times to assist? Or
Yeah, if you-
I don't need
If you
to.
want to do it, that's, if we could get sometime in February, any day and time.
I will send out surveys for you, Supervisor Rompton, to get some days and times, and then I will follow back with you as to whether dates and times are appropriate.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if this is, and I don't know if, I don't want to step on Tom Romden's toes or yours, but the extension committee has been missing a member for 6, 7 months, 8 months
Well, it's probably since
since we got, I think he was there. the
June or
first one.
July for sure.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm not sure.
and so
I'm
Matt
not,
Peasler,
Oh,
Peasler,
yeah.
Matt Peasler.
Human Services.
And he's, not been at a couple of county board meetings now. I understand that he's got a different boss now that's not allowing him to do or be as flexible as what he was.
I wonder if he's salaried.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think it's a disservice to the extension committee. It's also a disservice to his constituents. And I guess I would appreciate if you would contact him and talk it over with him to see what the situation is. I mean, if he has to resign from the board, I guess, and they look for someone to be appointed to finish his term, so be it. That's not uncommon. It does happen, not very
Well,
frequently, but
if it's that he can't make some of these committee meetings because of the times and work schedule change.
Yeah.
I know, for example, the other committee would be difficult because of the employee schedules. It would be difficult to change that, but perhaps if he's amenable, I could appoint another member to the extension committee so that we would be fully staffed as well. So let me talk to him. I'll talk to him after the meeting on Tuesday.
okay, that's fine.
So, okay. So next meeting then would be when, Mr. Felt would
I'm
be,
not sure, but I know Mr.
I know Mr. Romden would know.
he would.
Are we staying with the first Monday, March 1st?
Yes. So could we on that one, could we either move that? Could we, for the sake of my schedule that day, could we move that back to 6:30, or could we move to March 8th?
March 8th is fine with me.
March 8th, that would help me out, as long as it works for Mastelir. I certainly don't
Yeah,
want
works
to.
for me. I'm more flexible than you are.
Well, yes, and you know, my top priority is to make you happy.
Well, I'm glad. Keep that in mind.
Yes. We don't want to disrupt things too much here. Okay, so we got that taken care of. Adjourn? So move. He'll second. All in favor? Opposed?
Do you really want me to put an A down, Mr. Masterly? Okay, just making sure.
That's that.
Please, everyone, power down your boxes. Wait one.